If you are an estranged parent of an adult child, or you are an adult child estranged from your parent, this video might be the most important one you're going to see on the internet today. My name's Kate. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I help people restore their relationships by exploring the gray area. This video right here, I'm going to tell you how to go from attachment to detachment to connection with your parent if you so choose. Parents, I'm going to teach you to go from the attachment that you're feeling, the grief that you're feeling in the attachment, to real detachment, to real connection with your adult child. Listen, people, restoration is always possible with yourself and with your family. Let's get into it. Actually, let me give a little disclaimer. Just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean I'm your therapist, and this is going to work exactly for your experience. So use your discernment, take what you like, and leave the rest. Before I get into how to go from each phase, let's define each phase. The attachment phase looks like this. You and them. Attachment is kind of how we are coming out of the womb. We are literally like in our parents' womb, and their world defines ours. This is you in the middle, and this is them. In attachment, this is a clinical term, but it's also a spiritual term, where you're kind of codependent, where what they feel about you is what you feel about you. There's no separation between them and you. There's no boundaries. So what it actually looks like is more of this, where again, you don't know where you start and end, and you don't know where they start and end. You just feel consumed by them, whether you're the parent or whether you're the child. These are like parents that went from the attachment with their parents to an attachment with their spouse to an attachment with their children. So they've never come out of this attachment phase. So when their adult child estranges from them, there is so much grief and loss because it feels like they're a part of you. It feels like you are one with them, when the reality is that you're two separate people, and we need to get you to a place of connections. That's what attachment is. Detachment, which is actually a very healthy thing, but yes, it is a very excruciating process for all parties involved. It looks like this. Them. This is actually a natural process that should start in adolescence and continue through early adulthood. Again, an excruciating process. I'm going to talk more specifically about this in a minute. This is what detachment looks like, where there are two separate people, physically, emotionally, financially. There is independence there. And then where we want to get to is connection, which is love, which is real love. That looks like this. Love. This is what I call the gray area. This is what I want to get to. Attachment is black or white. It is one or the other. If you are here in the middle, it is normally not you, right? If you're a parent that's given your life to your kids, and like you have been such a sacrificed everything, your body, your like every decision you've made has been because of them. This is how you feel. And so going from attachment to detachment, which should be a normal and healthy process, has turned into estrangement, and now you're left with so much grief. Grief is what defines going from attachment to detachment. It is loss. I have heard so many estranged parents talk about how excruciating the process is, and I've heard also so many adult children. I mean, this is life defining pain on both sides. But also, good news that this is actually very healthy developmentally in some ways. There's obviously a lot of pain here, communication errors, no contact, all that stuff is the pain part. But in the greater context of emotional development of adult children, going from attachment where they feel like they're in the middle to detachment, becoming their own person, is actually a really, really healthy thing, and you should be proud of them that they are really coming into their own, despite how messy and ugly and painful this process is, again, on both sides. What is very important for parents to understand neurologically, developmentally for children, for their children, even when they're adults. A child's brain is not fully developed these days until 28 or 29 years old, okay? What does that mean? That means that they only see in black and white. Neurologically, they only see one or the other. So a lot of times when a child has estranged, it's because emotionally, physically, like they cannot They do not feel like a full self independent of their parent. They only see their parent, or they only see themselves. In this detachment phase, they are finding themselves. It doesn't mean that they're never going to come back to you, even though it feels like it. It just means they are finding themselves. They are establishing their own boundaries developmentally in family systems. This phase of life that they are in between adulthood and like reconciliation, reconnection with you, really is called leaving and cleaving. It's the most important stage of emotional development. It's when you leave your family of origin, you cleave from your family of origin, you sever the cord, and you attach to yourself emotionally, in so many other ways too. Healthy families, again, already do this. It's just less dramatic and it's less excruciating because it's just a natural part of development. They're finding their autonomy. Normally and naturally, this happens. This is going from being a child, ages 3 to 12, to being an adolescent. So this is normal. Normal detachment happens in adolescence. It can get messy is because in adolescence, child individuating, becoming their own self, results in behaviors that really scare parents. And so parents react in protection and fear of the child, as opposed to kind of healthy guidance and responsiveness, as opposed to a reaction. This can retain an unhealthy attachment between parent and child, even though the child is growing out of it. And then what happens is the child kind of gets overwhelmed and then just severs the cord. But again, this is healthy in some ways, and there's always hope for reconciliation. What is so important when there is space, when there is detachment? There are two concepts that I have come up with that I think can help both parties. One of them is called the 2U theory. Y'all may have heard Mel Robbins' let them theory. This is my 2U theory. This is so you can separate yourself mainly emotionally, okay? So say your child is saying, Mom, I hate you. You were a terrible parent, and you really screwed me up, and I want nothing to do with you. What you say to yourself as a parent is to you. Okay, to you. That's your experience. I have a different experience. Remember, because we're separating and defining their reality and our reality. They can be different things. Okay? Most important thing first, and I'm going to teach you the second thing to process that. But the first thing is to you. I've seen on the internet is estranged parents being like, these are just entitled brats. To adult children that are vulnerable and have not separated and detached and feel like they're their own person, that can really mess them up mentally. But what I want adult children to do is say to you. To you. I don't think I'm an entitled brat. That is to you. That doesn't undermine the hurt. That doesn't like dismiss the hurt that you're feeling. And again, I'm going to get to that. But the first thing to do is pull yourself out of this where their reality of you defines your reality of you. That is not healthy. And it's a healthy thing to detach. You're an entitled brat. Okay, to you. Okay, to you. And this is like an intra-psychic thing. This may be healthy for you to say, but it may not feel safe to say yet. Maybe your parent was very punitive. They didn't tolerate disrespect, and really you're just expressing your feelings. And so now you have no idea how to express your negative feelings, but you don't want to be mean. Anyway, so the point is either say this to them or keep it in, but just the point is to psychically separate. A healthy detachment. The second thing in this phase that you need to learn to actually process what is going on. You're already grieving. That is the emotional process. That is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. You're already doing that. But you're not necessarily going to get to connection with your child or with your parent unless you do this one part. This is what I call the language of vulnerability, LOV, language of love. It's my MEND method. MEND. So this is how you actually process what is happening. So you're grieving, right? You know you're going through detachment. You know some of this is healthy, even though it's excruciating. Your parent says you're just being an entitled brat. You say, okay, to you. Okay, to you. That's your experience. That is not mine. But that actually really hurts me. That really freaking hurts because I know I'm coming from a good place. So MEND. Define the meaning. What does it mean to you that they're saying this to you? That is different for everyone. Now, name your emotions. Identify your needs and your desires. So, when they say you're being an entitled brat, emotion, that really freaking hurts. That hurts my feelings, and that makes me angry. I really need understanding here. I'm going through some shit, okay? I need some understanding. I really want a relationship with you, but I really need to protect myself from this toxic behavior, because what it means to me is that you don't trust me to know my own life. Everyone is different, but this is the actual emotional processing that will help you become yourself and actually create a secure attachment with yourself, so that by the time you're ready to reconnect or not, can come from a place of security and that you can at least trust yourself. I feel like as I'm even saying all of this stuff, this is such a summary, so please take what you like and leave the rest, but please understand overall that there is healing here. There is healing here. This is the healing process. Going through the grief, actually being upset, actually letting yourself be upset. I think with detachment too, I've seen some parents be like, okay, well, I'm not going to make my child the center of my life anymore. You know, the child is them in this situation. That's actually a really healthy thing to do. Yes, parents, find your own life, find your own happiness, please, for the sake of your relationship. Find your own self. Maybe this is a time in your life where you've given your all to your family, to your marriage, to your kids, and now it's time for you. Yes, go through the mend method. How does your kid being estranged from you, how does that affect you? Do you feel embarrassed? Right? You feel embarrassed. It means to you that you were a bad parent, maybe. You feel a lot of shame. You really need some understanding. You really need some support. Maybe seeking that from your friends, from your community, like so many people are doing online. That's a healthy thing. You just might, just remember your desire. If reconciliation is your desire, it may be in your best interest. It's great to detach and be an individual. It may be in your best interest to not call your kid an entitled brat online. That might kind of not be helpful, but I don't know. Maybe your kid will forgive you also. Maybe they'll understand at some point that you were grieving. But you first have to understand that in yourself and actually process what their behavior means to you, how it makes you feel, what you need instead, and what you want. Last part, which is the most important part, and I think I have to be quick here. Connection is the goal. Connection is intimacy. Connection is this gray area where you're actually sharing your equal experiences in a way that you can we call this holding space, where both of them can exist at the same time. This is one or the other. Detachment is one or the other. This is both. Now, the only way to get connected with your estranged parent or with your adult child is through these two things, okay? Compassion and curiosity. Those two things, those are skills. If you want to connect with your adult child and they say, Mom, I really, to connect, y'all are actually going to have to talk about what goes down in these two phases. You're going to have to tolerate your kid saying, hey, Mom, when you bashed me on the internet, that really hurt me. Any other reaction from you other than compassion and curiosity, which is, man, I may have really screwed up there. I was really upset. However, and I cannot imagine how that made you feel. Tell me what that was like for you. Tell me. I can handle it because I am a whole person and I can hold space for you being different than me, having a different experience. And what happens, parents, when you do that to your kid, you are leading the way. If you are doing this, your kid can still be in this phase and you can handle it. They are allowed to be what they are in the space with you, okay? So I think I'm out of time, but I hope you understand where this is coming from. And restoration is always, 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 always possible. To find the gray area, you need to start where you are.